Tanya, I would like to ask you, have you ever sell a listing like Dick just said you did not see the seller first? For example, you are in Long Beach and you sell the listing in San Jose. Have you ever sell that?
Yeah.
And how,
Um,
yeah, so how control it?
yeah. I mean, I sold a dry cleaner that was in Virginia. I
Oh,
wasn't about to hop on a plane and fly from California to Virginia over a dry cleaner.
so how you show the business to the buyer, please?
Well, the buyer was from Mongolia. So she was
What?
coming in on an E2 visa. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So
Oh,
this was all
cool.
over the plan, and the buyers had a brother who was living in Kentucky, and
Oh,
so he went from Kentucky to Virginia to go check out the business for her and send her pictures and all of that.
oh,
And actually, he was actually going to be learning the business and doing the training with the seller until her E2 visa came through and she could get back here into the United States. So yeah, it was a very interesting transaction. But to
oh.
your point, yes, I mean I've sold businesses up in San Jose. I've got some stuff going on up north right now. Um, thank God. Right? Silver lining of COVID. I mean, everybody adopted Zoom. We can do everything over Zoom and the email, and I do video interviews with sellers and make those available to buyers. So there's all kinds of things and all kinds of ways to make business transactions work well.
But I'm
That's
curious,
mhm.
what if the seller close the door or the seller sell his business directly to the buyer? How do you know? How do you control it?
Well, I mean, I have a process, right? So I'm dealing and following up with all these different buyers that are interested, and I'm having and scheduling Zoom meetings between buyer, seller, and me when we get to that stage. The video interviews really save a lot of that because I'll do a video interview with a seller up front, and then that's part of when I send somebody after they've signed an NDA, they have access to the SIM. They also have access to a video interview link.
Mm.
And so in that video interview, most of the buy sell meetings, it's well, seller, to tell the buyer about the background and history of the business,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
let's talk about your management structure, your employees. How do you get customers? What type of marketing strategies do you employ and all that? I asked them that once and record it in a video interview and then segment that out. And then that way buyers have access to that. They can learn all of that about the business without having to take the seller's time or my time for that matter. And if they're still interested in going to the next step, then as I'm following up with them, then it's like, yeah, now I've watched the videos. I really like the business. It's a good fit for me. I've seen the financials. Yeah, now I want to have a meeting with the seller. So then we do a Zoom meeting with the seller. They don't, they don't go to the seller's location. There's no
oh,
on-site meetings until we get to where we're pretty much in an offer stage because we don't want to spook the employees. And I don't know if, I was doing this back before COVID, and you used to have buy sell meetings on site at the seller's location. And about the third or fourth time you're there as the broker with a different person, I can guarantee you the employees start asking questions
yes,
because now they've seen you 4 times with 4 different people and they
yes,
remember you. And now they're asking the seller, hey, what's going on? Why does this person keep showing up at the business all the time? Right? So this way, post COVID, completely different, much better. Nobody shows up at the business. Nobody spooks the employees. Not doing any of that until you're down to where you're getting an offer, right? You
yes.
have an LOI or an offer in hand, and then it's like, okay, now we're going to set up an appointment for an on-site visit.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
And I suspect that, your contracts, your listing agreement is pretty, ironclad in the event that something, funny business happens behind the scenes where, you know, the buyer and the seller were connected. They kind of like, you know, you weren't present for all the meetings, and they kind of like strike their own deal, right?
I use the standard cab rep agreements unless there's a reason not to.
Okay.
But I mean, most of the time I just use the standard cab, California Association of Business Brokers. So just standard cab agreement. Yes, it does have language in there that will, well, that says if, you know, if buyer and seller collude to do a backdoor deal or whatever, that our fee is still due. Problem is you have to chase it.
And
right?
that's the thing, yeah. So I think I want to talk to you offline. I think maybe something like that has just happened to me. So
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I'll talk to you about it maybe offline if you have the time. We'll figure it out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to talk to you about that one. But if you're your own broker, it's great because you can chase those. But if you're not, and if you like with EXP, if I have a deal where somebody does a backdoor deal on me, since I'm broker associate for EXP, I have to go to the state broker, and then since EXP is corporate, right now they've got to go to whatever their legal department is if they have one, or their and depending on, you know, if it's a $25,000 minimum fee, they're not going to chase that. If it's 150,000, they might. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to remember the managing broker owns the rep agreement. The managing broker owns the contract.
Right.
Not you, or, you know, not me as the broker associate or the agent. It's the managing, all of those contracts, all of those rep agreements, you get them signed and all that, but they don't belong to you. They belong to the state broker.
That's right.
So depending on what state you're in, but I think most of them, if it's a licensed state, that's generally how it works. If you're in an unlicensed state, you know, maybe then you might have more power and more ability, but I think probably not. I still think you're probably going to be stuck going through your state broker.
Yep.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.